field, to interact personally with 800 fellow crypto lovers, hodlers, investors, miners, traders, developers, and founders, then I'd like to hear about it. If you don't, then you don't want to miss out. Register today for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference. Go to bitcoinsuperconference.com and register today as a super early bird to get the lowest rates on tickets and hotel rooms. That's bitcoinsuperconference.com.
Welcome to Almost Here, Round the Corner Future Technology podcast with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies poised to transform our lives for better or worse are the focus of this podcast. Almost here means these technologies are now here and starting to be used, or just around the corner, from Bitcoin to artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.
Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with Future Tech Podcast. My guest today is Clarke, Marketing Director with Vaultbank. Eric, how are you today?
I'm great. How about you?
Good. Yeah, I appreciate you coming. I'd like to start with the basics. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you came to work with Vaultbank, and then I want to ask you about Vaultbank itself.
Great. Well, again, thanks for having me. I'm kind of all over the place with my background. I'm a past entrepreneur. I actually just sold a business in May of this year, fully transitioned out of that in June. And that was actually a women's yoga lifestyle brand that I had for 7 years. And then before that, I had done a little bit other work in the fashion industry. And then previous to that, I was in solar energy, where I had a solar energy brokering business. And then previous to that, I was in commercial real estate development and finance. Kind of a wide range of tasks that I kind of took on before. But I was obviously very excited and interested in the crypto space, and jumped on board with Vaultbank a few months ago. And it's been quite a ride since then.
Nice. Yeah, all right, so tell listeners about Vaultbank. What do you guys do, and what's your premise?
Yeah, so Vaultbank was started about 9 months ago by Austin Trombley and Christopher Cummick. They're the co-founders of this. Austin comes from a hedge fund. He runs Random Forest Capital in San Francisco, and Chris comes from wealth management. And both of them saw that there was kind of an issue. There were a few issues that they were seeing in crypto. They're both very into it and deeply invested. Where they were seeing issues were on the legitimacy side with a lot of the offerings, and a lot of them being utility tokens when compared to security tokens, which is a little bit more somewhere that people on the finance side can sink their teeth into a little bit. Right. And then also where they were seeing issues were in on the hedge fund side, actually in the more traditional side, they're seeing that there's liquidity issues, there's long hold periods for investments, and also potentially large initial investments. And so what they came here to do is kind of solve a problem on both sides. So they felt that by creating the Vaultbank token, which is a secured asset-backed token, basically backed by the Vaultbank company, which is going to be running a Vaultbank fund. The Vaultbank fund is similar to a typical hedge fund, actually, generating potential strong returns, but with liquidity that you get with crypto and exchangeability. And then beyond that, what they really wanted to do is offer a full suite of services. And so one of those is a debit card. So you can actually link crypto to the debit card and actually spend crypto at point-of-sale terminals all around the world. That's actually going to start in the European Union and the U.S. And then actually we're very close to closing a partnership deal in Asia and Australia and New Zealand, actually. And then after that, we're going to be trying to really hit South America and kind of the remaining portions of the world. And then beyond that, I know this is kind of a long little summary here, but beyond that, there's the Vaultbank Exchange that we're in development on, and we're feeling we're about 40 to 50% of the way done with it, actually. There are going to be a lot of features added on after it's live, but the main idea of the exchange is actually to offer security tokens, and that's something that is very rare. We're doing one of the first security token offerings, and we've seen how challenging it is, and actually how few exchanges actually want to touch security tokens. The idea here is actually to launch, primarily a security token exchange platform, but that also has functions with utility token tradability. Those are the three main lines of Vaultbank.
Yeah. Let's start with the exchange portion. So what are you seeing in regards to security versus utility tokens? Everyone seems to be saying that their token's utility, and people are cowering in the corner away from the security token designation. You guys aren't.
Yeah.
Why, and why do you think this strategy is going to be better?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a big question mark overall in the crypto space, is exactly how hard regulation is going to be coming. Already this week, we've seen two pretty big news stories about Munchie and I'm forgetting the other company, but basically SEC coming in and kind of flexing their might. We're assuming that a lot of the utility tokens that really should have been listed as security tokens are going to be somehow reprimanded or somehow changed in some way by the SEC. But we wanted to be a few steps ahead of the curve and kind of do everything right in the most transparent and legitimate way that we felt. It's been a long, intense, and complicated legal challenge to do that, but we're feeling really confident about where we're at with that. In general, most tokens are utility tokens, and that's what most people are used to. The security tokens, what's really interesting about them is that with our security token, it actually represents a piece of the overall business. And so with people that are used to investing in stocks, this makes a little bit more sense to them. Especially the people that aren't expert, really experienced crypto traders that are really used to utility tokens. I think we feel that our offering is kind of a bridge between traditional finance and traditional stocks and crypto. One last thing I should mention is that each token does represent an overall equity piece of the Vaultbank business, but each token is not a voting share. So that's one difference between this and a standard stock. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. But you said exchanges are hesitant to touch security tokens. I mean, first of all, in your estimation, I know you're not a lawyer and all that stuff, but what security tokens are out there right now that seem to be classified as that? And then, I want to talk about why the current exchanges seem to be skittish about dealing with security tokens.
Yeah, so in our estimation, there are less than 5 and 10 overall security tokens out there, and it's actually pretty hard to find them. We've been really scouring the internet to try to find them.
Well, while you're doing that, I had thought Bitcoin and some of the cryptocurrencies are considered to be commodities. So I would think there's also another flavor there. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but it seems like you have security tokens, utility tokens, and then commodity tokens. Or is that not really a separate designation? Yeah,
I mean, and they're designated as assets, but they don't represent an actual equity piece in any business. And so one kind of tough thing about that is that if you're investing money into a utility token where the business that's behind it does something incredible, builds an incredible product or builds an incredible business, if that business gets sold, all the utility token holders don't get to benefit in that company sale. I mean, they might have some kind of benefit in that likely the token price could pop, for various other reasons, but still they don't get to reap in the rewards of any kind of acquisition or merging type of event. Which in the stock market, when any company gets purchased, any major acquisition happens, I mean, typically see a jump in 30 to 40, 50% in the stock price, and all the stockholders really get to benefit in that. So with Vaultbank, if there ever happen to be some event like that, everyone gets to benefit equally based on their the amount of tokens they have of the overall pot. Okay.
And why do you think the exchanges are skittish about listing security tokens? I mean, there's not many.
Oh yeah.
And if an exchange has 300 tokens, and some of them get reclassified as security tokens, what do you think is going to happen?
That's a great question. Well, I'll tell you why I think that they're skittish in general. there's just more regulation around security tokens. And so if they're not doing their KYC and AML verification correctly, that can cause a problem. And also with a lot of these exchanges, you don't actually have to go through really any kind of KYC. And, when I say KYC, I know your customer, and AML, which is anti-money laundering. If they don't go through the verification on investors, then they could potentially, be having investors coming from, terrorist organizations. I mean, just to throw out one potential issue there when you don't do that process. But with security tokens and with ours, there's actually a pretty, I guess you could say, rigorous set of requirements for people to be able to invest. And so, like with our offering, everyone actually has to be accredited. And so what that means for someone in the U.S. is an investor needs to make over $200,000 a year for the last 2 years, or $300,000 combined with a spouse, or have $1 million in investable assets. So that doesn't include a main home. And so that's limiting, of course. But it's part of us trying to do this in a more, I guess you could say, legit way of being able to comply with the SEC regulation as a Reg D filing, Reg D 506C filing.
Okay, all right, very good. And what about the exchange that you guys want to create? You want it to only list security tokens, or security and utility, and what do you think is going to be the big use of doing this?
So our hope here is, right now it's extremely expensive to, and actually takes a long time to list funds or securities on the New York Stock Exchange or on NASDAQ. And so what we're trying to create here is kind of an in-between NASDAQ and what you see right now with all the exchanges with crypto. So we want to be able to offer mutual funds the opportunity to be able to list a fund. And so, by focusing on security tokens, we feel that, since no one else is really touching it, everyone's a little bit hesitant. Not only are we going to kind of be ahead of the game with where a lot of companies are going to be likely needing to start a list, how they're going to set up their ICOs or the type of token, but we're also feeling that it's going to be a bridge for some of these, major traditional finance firms and funds to be able to, actually play around in the crypto side and actually have more liquidity for their investors. And so and since there isn't really anyone focusing on security tokens yet, I kind of feel that this is a good opportunity to kind of jump in. But then the other part of your question about utility tokens, we absolutely do plan to have them traded on there, but we wouldn't really be launching them. And so like the platform is more going to be for security token launches and also for trading. But then some of the major cryptos will definitely be on there. So definitely Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, probably the top 10 is what we're thinking early on. And actually that exchange is going to be linked to our crypto debit card. And so basically all the utility tokens that we select to be part of that exchange are also going to be available for people to link to their debit card, because as soon as they make a swipe, it's basically going through the exchange with Vaultbank as the buyer of that little piece of that token to then pay the vendor.
Are you going to act as a fiat gateway to let people put money onto the exchange, or just to take it off? Well, I guess you will, because to take it off, it's going to go back into fiat, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you got it right.
So you will be a fiat gateway as well?
Yeah.
That's pretty ambitious, but that's great. So security tokens and fiat gateway. No wonder why you guys have your work cut out for you. But that's really cool.
It's a pretty massive undertaking, and a lot of people from the beginning, they were like, well, first of all, they're saying there's no way you're going to be able to do a security token, and there's no way you're going to be able to do a security token like this, and you're not going to be able to do it with any kind of dividends. And so, it's something I haven't really touched on, and it's something that I always have to preface with that they can't be guaranteed, but basically based on the success of the overall company, and really specifically, just how the profits spit out from all these business lines. The idea is to actually, pay out dividends to all the security token holders. So
why not why not voting rights? Why not go full bore and make it?
That's a good question. That was something that was decided on at the very beginning. and I actually don't know the answer to that question, unfortunately.
Okay.
I do know that the founders, and I mean, the discussions have been pretty clear that they're going to be sending out quarterly reports about how the company's doing, and then everything's going to be getting audited, which is very different than what a lot of these utility tokens have.
Right.
You really have no idea what's being done with the money. Here it's going to be very clear what's happening behind the scenes. And so I do know that the investors and token holders are very important to the company, and with being so transparent, I think that's kind of clear there. But it might just be something with, in general, just the way that the wallets work. It might be hard to track. I don't know. Actually, that's hard for me to say.
Are you going to have, a vault feature? Like Coinbase has, you can, a lot of exchanges keep stuff in hot wallets and cold storage, but, Coinbase, at least to me, seems unique, and then they have a vault feature where you can lock funds up for 48 hours until they come out. I mean, any interesting exchange features you guys are bringing that you want to talk about?
I definitely do. I can tell you this for sure, that the exchange is going to be decentralized, and so there are going to be no private keys that are stored on the exchanges, which I think is very important as kind of a comparison to Coinbase. Also, one other big, I guess you could say, differentiator that we're really going to be focusing on is on lower fees. We obviously don't want to have a race to the bottom situation, but that kind of is the direction that this is going. These trades can be done at fractions of a penny, and so we just kind of feel that the fees that are being charged by Coinbase and some of these other exchanges are kind of exorbitant. So it doesn't really seem.
They're high. They charge you not only a fee on the transaction, but their spot price is, magically way less favorable than normal.
Yeah, and the withdrawal fees. I mean, everything is high, and so the idea here is compete on fees, compete on the types of tokens, and then also compete on customer service, because obviously that's another major issue. That might get fixed over time with Coinbase. I know I actually just heard yesterday that they have something like 80 job openings available because they're just growing that fast and they can't keep up with the demand. That's definitely something that we want to be. We just kind of feel that overall the options aren't ideal at this point, and so we definitely want to come in and really be a major competitor in this space.
So you're not going to use a troll box for customer service, or make them go through a chat service and not even allow them to email you, or try to make them go through Twitter to get customer service? Wow.
Yeah, isn't that a crazy thought, huh?
Maybe you even have a phone number. I mean, we'll really go crazy. Who knows?
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of the parts of the list is actually have a person to talk to and all that. So it'll be interesting when it really comes down to it on the numbers side to be able to offer it as low as possible on the cost side, with lowest fees possible, while also offering great customer service. But whenever that point is, that's where we're going to hit.
All right. Well, that's great. And then just a couple of minutes about I don't know if we can call it a hedge fund, but the hedge fund aspect, the investment angle. What's that look like? What does that program look like?
Yeah. So the hedge fund that we're partnered with is Random Forest Capital, and so they're 2 years in right now, and they're showing. I think they're at 16.5% on their last 12 months on their portfolio net of fees, and so they're doing really well. I guess you could say, especially when you compare it to other secure asset type hedge funds. They really focus on mainly real estate loans and everything kind of in that same arena. And so that's where most of the money is going to be pumped into, is a fund that's being co-managed by them. Depending on the amount of funds that are raised during the ICO, somewhere between 80 and 85% is going to be directly put into the Vaultbank fund. That's going to be focused on those same types of assets. And what Random Forest Capital does, part of the reason that they're so successful is that they have a really, really great AI and machine learning component of their business. And so Austin Trombley, who's our CTO and founder, he's also the co-founder of Random Forest, and he has this great background from working at Prosper and Wells Fargo, and really on the tech side, and he's the one that built out that AI. And so what he has basically done is that the programs look at 300 data points compared to only about 100 data points that other technology does for looking at real estate loans and these portfolios. And so what they're able to do is they're able to cherry pick all the loans that their 300 points of data point to are better and will perform better. And so that actually has been a major factor in how well they're doing. But the thing is, if you want to invest in a hedge fund, you're going to be, throwing in potentially 100,000, 500,000 minimum, and then being locked up for 3, 5, 10 years. But when you invest in an ICO like this, you can basically, in a sense, be investing in a significant portion of a hedge fund, but then having the ability to trade in and out of it. And so that's, or spend a little portion of it. And so that's kind of a big part of this is, really trying to almost blur the lines between your assets that are liquid and illiquid. Typically you put money in a hedge fund, you're thinking, okay, that's not liquid. But now you can actually spend it or trade it. The only one little piece I have to mention is that for U.S. investors, there's a 1-year lockup period on any investment. And so when I mention liquid, for U.S. investors specifically, there's a 1-year lockup which does create illiquidity for that first year. But that's not the way it actually works for other areas of the world.
Well, the nice thing about that is that, with crypto's current taxation model in the U.S., then the people would by default have long-term capital gains instead of short-term. So it would help them in that way.
That would definitely help them. And also on our end, one thing that we're very focused on is, post-ICO is getting the tokens to appreciate and to really hold their value. One of our big selling points we feel is that because these are asset-backed tokens, that they're going to have more stability than your typical cryptocurrency. Since there's like what I like to call there's basically like a floor of what's behind it. So your worst case scenario, there's something to sell there. Utility tokens, there's not. You can hear, and I'm sure you've heard the stories of these market caps that are in the over 10 million, and all of a sudden, a few months later, they're at $300. On utility tokens, that's not really going to be the case with security token offerings, since you actually have a portion of something, unless the company just has no assets whatsoever. But if they're doing something like what we're doing, a big chunk of the portfolio, a big chunk of the company is this portfolio that actually has assets, a real credit asset.
Okay. Well, very good. What's the best way for people to find out more about your initiatives? And if they're accredited in the U.S., participate in the ICO. What's the best way for them to get in contact with the company?
Well, thank you very much for asking. So our website is vaultbank.io, and so that's the place to get our white paper, our PPM, and just all the more detailed info about the project. Also on there we have our intercom channel link. So they can go on there and ask us any questions. And also I also love to mention to go to our Telegram chat, because we actually have our founders on there. We have our whole team on there answering questions directly. So that's a great way to get any question answered. And so the pre-sale actually just opened up on Wednesday. Right now we're offering a 15% bonus to all investors that are accredited again. For U.S. investors, again, it's the 200,000. Well, accredited investors typically know what they need to hit. So it is open to accredited investors only, unfortunately. Any additional questions about that, definitely contact us. Or if any of your listeners would like to email me directly, I'm Eric Clarke at vaultbank.io. So it's eric.clarke@vaultbank.io. Clarke with an E at the end. I'm open for any direct questions.
Well, great. Well, Eric, thanks so much for coming on the call. I really appreciate it. And looks like you guys are bold and ambitious and doing really great things in the future. So
I really, really appreciate that, and really appreciate you taking the time to interview me. So yeah, thanks very much. Hope that your listeners find some value here and look to be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
The Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference is coming to Dallas, Texas, February 16, 17, and 18 in 2018. If you know of a better way to get the latest insider knowledge about crypto, to hear directly from the top minds in this field, to interact personally with 800 fellow crypto lovers, hodlers, investors, miners, traders, developers, and founders, then I'd like to hear about it. If you don't, then you don't want to miss out. Register today for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Blockchain Super Conference. Go to bitcoinsuperconference.com and register today as a super early bird to get the lowest rates on tickets and hotel rooms. That's bitcoinsuperconference.com.
You have been listening to Almost Here, Around the Corner Future Technology podcast with Richard Jacobs. Subscribe to this podcast, post a review to discover more future technologies that are poised to transform our lives for better or worse, such as Bitcoin, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.